Let's write Chapter 1 Introduction section together today. In the next videos, we shall discuss background, problem statement, RO, RQ, and all of it in Chapter 1. If you want me to discuss all the sections in the next videos, make sure you comment what specific sections you would like me to cover the most in the coming videos. So, on the same topic as the previous video here, technique to eat bread with a chopstick for breakfast. Now, let's modify my Chapter 1 introduction template for this topic right here. So, in step number 1, we start with a very broad intro for this particular topic. So, all of you can see the title of this particular thesis topic, that, just for fun's sake. The anchor of this title is breakfast. Why so? Why breakfast? Because if you look at this title, without the word breakfast, this entire topic won't exist. It will all fall apart. There is no chopstick, there is nothing else. It's only breakfast that is pulling the whole topic together. So the whole paragraphing for step 1 should follow a funnel concept, starting with the most broadest context, why breakfast is important for a human. And then you narrow down, what are the usual meals for breakfast? Narrow down further, what happens if you skip breakfast? That is step number 1. And the full write-up would be like this, where breakfast is often referred to as the most important meal of the day. And then you talk about the overnight fasting period where it restores glucose levels. You're basically showing how important is having breakfast, which essentially strengthens the title, the anchor. If you look at the anchor again, right, it strengthens why breakfast is important. That will give an edge to the readers why this topic is so important. Then you can see further explanation where we talk about periods of sleep, the body needs fuel to kickstart metabolism, enhance concentration, talk about improved performance both physically and mentally. It really signifies breakfast. That means it signifies the topic itself, why we need to talk about this. And then we can also rope in some studies which talk about people who eat a balanced breakfast tend to have better memory, attention span, problem solving skills, and all these other mechanisms that comes along as an advantage with breakfast. Followed by that, you talk about children, students, breakfast, all these other additional points. Step number 2, further explanation of the body, in this case the breakfast itself, with literature review. In this continuation of the funnel, now you bring in statistics on the types of food for breakfast. Next part, how common is bread compared to any other food across different cultures and countries. Now, for step number 2, after all that funnel explanation, we go into the details. You see that whole detail up there, the whole write-up. So, breakfast habits vary globally. You're going down the funnel now. You talk about the entire perspective of breakfast. So, you talk about surveys provide insights into what people usually eat, and then you bring in some statistics, right? So, in 2022, Statista survey showed that around 59% of adults regularly eat bread or toast, which, supports your entire topic, right? And then followed by eggs, 58%. So, it basically emphasizes that people eat breads the most. People eat bread all over the world the most compared to any other breakfast. So that shows why you need to introduce chopstick specifically for bread, just for the fun of it. Okay, then you can see they talk about coffee, and then over 60% Americans starting their day with coffee along with breakfast. Then they also talk about UK, okay, where National Diet and Nutrition Survey reported about 70% of households include bread products, toast, sandwich, rolls. So this again further amplifies, further concrete up the entire bread topic. And then you talk about Japan, you talk about Malaysia. You can keep adding. Don't add too many countries. I think that's enough already. You got Japan, Malaysia, UK, US, and so on. That's enough to strengthen, and we have of course China as well. That is enough to strengthen the statistical part of the significance of having bread for breakfast. So this segment is done. Okay, step 1 done, step 2 done. So next, steps 3 and 4 comes together, where according to the template we talk about other involved parties and bodies, which in case basically the literature, more literature on the core issue. So continuing down the funnel, just for an example, we're going to rope in WHO here. So just for an example's sake, according to World Health Organization, not having breakfast is not worse compared to having breakfast in a wrong technique without this. Okay, so whether you eat bread or any other breakfast, hygiene is vital. Therefore, doing that is not very good. That's what we are trying to establish in introduction itself. But if you realize, we never talk about chopstick at all, because we're going to leave that for the background section. So the detailing part, step 1 we have seen, step 2 we have seen. Now is the step 3 detailing write-up for this particular template, where we can start with according to World Health Organization. Now we bring in all the international organization, and the way food is consumed just as important as the type of food itself. So they say while skipping breakfast has its risk, eating breakfast in the wrong technique or under unhygienic condition, holding it like this, can be even more harmful. So now we are driving the entire topic towards the background and the problem statement, because we want to introduce chopstick, this instrument right here. We need to introduce this. So we need to start that somewhere from introduction, and that's what we are doing right here. So for an instance, consuming contaminated food, sharing utensils without proper cleaning, or eating with unwashed hands can directly expose a person to foodborne illness, gastrointestinal infections, and other health risks. Next, step 5, summary. Overall, it is very important to deep dive into not only breakfast, but due to the absorbing capacity of bread towards bacteria, handling it during a breakfast requires more care. Now is the most surprising part, surprise, of the entire video today. This is how, up there, AI would write the introduction. If you read what ChatGPT 5 PhD level ChatGPT had given, if you read that, no introduction, background had jumbled it all together. We start speaking about cutlery very early, but never spoke about why cutlery is brought into the picture. We don't even know why if you read it there. I don't know why bread from Western diets were combined with chopstick for the reason of cultural intersection. Doesn't make sense whatsoever. You cannot even form an idea. And worst of all, look at the problem statement. You only get that. That doesn't say anything. Okay, this is the whole problem of using AI without knowing what you need, and you will just copy and paste that and destroy your entire thesis. That's where everything goes wrong. So don't copy and paste from AI without understanding what you need. So in the next video, we're going to jump into background. Introduction done, next is background, then problem statement, then the rest. How would you start the background section for this particular topic? This is the full topic. How would you do it? Do comment here. Don't forget, I need your opinion and your ideas. With that, don't forget, make sure you subscribe and comment on your ideas for the next section of chapter 1. Please do not ask AI for answer. Use your logical thinking. How would you do it? Problem statement writing secrets. Watch this video till the end. Follow my rules. Your problem statement will be perfecto. Number 1. Your problem statement must be in a funnel concept. If this is your title, example title, something like this, your introduction in chapter 1 should be about Pakistan and farming. Your background in your chapter 1 must be about rice farmers. And then you funnel down to your problem statement and talk about rice farmers, current practices, sustainability issues. Always go from broad to narrow context based on your title. Look at these examiner's reports. Look at that. This one, student failed the proposal defense. Read the examiner's comments. Problem statement is long-winded and repeating ideas because no funnel. And look at the next comment. More focus needed. No specific issues covered because there's nothing there. When you just copy from AI, it won't give you any specific issues. Now, let's go to number 2. Use latest references in your problem statement. Latest, not just 5 years, but as recent as possible. Maybe on monthly basis, you need to check. Number 3, citations must be from Web of Science and Scopus papers. Always, all the time. 80% of your citations must be from these 2 sources. Even better if it is from Q1, Q2 journals. If you need a problem statement template like this for free, comment here that you need the template. Make sure you hit follow, like and share. Number 4, avoid fake information from AI. Look at one more examiner comment here. Limited factual reporting. I call this AI destroyer. Your examiners are not dumb. They know that you copied from AI and they know how to check whether it's fake or real. Look at this reported sentence right here in the problem statement of the same student and the paper by Shari, which was cited in the text. You can see right there. I search for keyword passively from the sentence. See, cannot be found. Cannot be found, not at all. AI gives you all this fake information and you guys don't even open the paper and read. So it all becomes fake and students end up failing. So, solve these 4 issues. Your problem statement will be perfecto and use my free problem statement template, guys. For the first time ever, I'm going to combine ChatGPT, Scopus and Web of Science for literature review. If you follow this method, I guarantee you don't need to worry about fake information or bad quality predatory literature. Now, let's go. Wait. Before we start, don't forget to hit follow, like and share. Done? Okay, stay till the end for the magic of the day. That is my prompt to find gap and literature for a topic on Gen Y. So now, the first step, let's analyze the content and the citation. So from this paper published in European Research Studies Journal, right? We look at this paper. Let's cross-check the content given here for fake information. We pick up perceived organizational support. So this is the variable. Now we search in the paper. And if you look at the result, that particular variable cannot be found. Horrible this AI. It's picked up from another citation. It's not even in the content of this paper. These are the form of checks with keywords. We call this citation keyword analysis technique. This technique is applied so that you guys don't suffer from fake information. So now we go to second step. Let's check the quality of this journal recommended by ChatGPT. And this is the paper. So now with this, we go to scopus.com right here. We paste the title in Scopus and we hit search. And now you see, oh my god, unbelievable. It's a discontinued journal from Scopus. It's not even Scopus. That means if a journal is kicked out from Scopus, it is a predatory journal. Predatory journal are scam journals. Next, let's check in Web of Science. When we paste this journal title in Web of Science and you look at the result there, it's not even indexed in Web of Science. It's not even there. You shouldn't even build your research or your thesis or your proposal or journal without a Web of Science or Scopus journal. And worst of all, not with predatory journals. Wake up everyone, wake up. Don't destroy your research journey, okay? Please help me share this video with as many researchers as you can. Don't forget, let's not destroy our next generation PhD masters holders. Please share. Bye-bye.